That's a lot of copper wire.
Yeah.
Yeah, 270 pounds. Yeah, and that's
And
big
then-
bucks now.
And then, like with Joseph Newman, if you look at his device on TV there, when he was on TV, look how big that unit was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, his big Eureka weighed 4,000 pounds.
Don't drop it on your foot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Getting his
But,
wire delivered on a semi.
Yeah, I think the big problem with his motor was, to a lot of investors, it didn't look very practical because of the sheer size, and that was an issue. I think they wanted something that was a little bit more portable, that you could use to run your house or whatever. But I think he just wanted to prove the fact that a big motor with a lot of copper wire on it, and just putting voltage into it and hardly any current, you could get a huge COP rating. Now, where everybody went wrong with this device, they were basing the COP on the power coming out of the system versus going in. He was also gaining a lot of COP in the mechanical energy that it was putting out, because he was running a huge mud pump. So it was not only electrical power he was getting out, he was also getting mechanical power. And a lot of people just didn't put those two together and say, hey, this is putting out COP in the electrical side, but also when it comes to torque and horsepower, it's also putting out a COP in mechanical power, right?
And at our conference, we always had like a water pump or something always working, something always doing work, and that's the bottom line, is if it can work or not.
Yeah.
So he had two sources of power coming out.
Yeah. So did you see his demonstration of his car in the Superdome? Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
And it was such a big buildup, and then it could barely move.
Yeah, because the motor took up the whole bed of the pickup truck, and he's got this thing spinning in there, and this poor pickup truck, like the shocks are coming down on it so low because of all the weight with the magnets and the massive coil of wire that he had in the thing. It just looked kind of funny, but he was just trying to prove a point, right? And most people didn't really understand it.
Oh, it's funny. 2 mile an hour dragster, huh?
Yeah.
Like a tractor pull.
Yeah, kind of like a tractor pull.
But you know what? I admire him because he fought the government for his patent. He had, took it to the Supreme Court, fought all the patent office. They got several reputable engineers to say, yeah, it's putting up more power than what it's going into the system. But guess what? We're still not going to give you a patent. Right?
Wow.
So, he lost his house over it. He lost everything. Kind of a sad story with him. And now I understand why he was so bitter in the end.
But that's the story of all the inventors. All of us inventors, we're all struggling.
That's right.
Well,
Elon.
Well, you got, he was old school. He definitely had the old school mentality.
Well, right. It's anyone from those times, like before 2012, basically, it was like they would rule that it's impossible when you applied your patent, thus, or they would then classify it and keep it. Either way, you're not allowed to talk about it publicly. And because they ruled that it was impossible, then it's a fraud. So then any business you do, they would then sue you and charge you with fraud. And that's how they would crush all of these inventors and steal their businesses and their homes on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
They created something that's called patent holding companies. That the government pays money to people that want patents, and then they hold their invention decades. Like if an inventor is paid for it, they cannot publicly use their patent because they were paid for it, but it's like dormant. It just sits there in a holding company and nobody could use it because it wouldn't work if they use that patent for money, so they just hold people's stuff. So it's called patent holding.
Terrible.
That only works for like 21 years, you know, and then it's released. The patents are only good
Yeah.
for like 21 years.
Yeah, and Norman Wooten, he's a really cool engineer, and I replicated his MRA device, and that was seized too by the patent office in 1994. And he's also been on TeslaTech on your conference there. So I've been corresponding on and off with him for the last 5 years. So
Well, I also did a magazine, you know.
Really?
Yeah, Extraordinary Science was with the Tesla Society, and then I did Extraordinary Science and Technology, you know, separate. And I also had Exotic Research Report, and I did an article on the MRI because I was working with Norm on that. I think his name was Joe McCain, if I remember right.
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, and he wrote an article for me for the magazine, you know. So I have all that stuff in storage, you know. That's one of the reasons I want to get into a bigger spot so I can get all this stuff out and start going through it, because I don't know if you ever heard of Andrea Puharich. He was one of the guys that went with Kasanovich to pick up Tesla's trunks when they were released, you know, by the alien property. And I have some manuscript from
Yes. He was like either like a nephew of Tesla's or something, or he was like the younger guy that worked with Tesla, right? Like
no, he was
or
a
the
relative.
opposite.
He was a
the
relative.
government.
I think it's
Yeah,
just
a relative.
he is a Yugoslavian friend, you know. The Kasanoviches and that. Kasanovich, I think they were the relatives.
My mother's actually Yugoslavian, so
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Kasanovich is one that picked up those trunks, and all that stuff got shipped over to the museum there.
Yeah.
You know, but I just know Puharich made copies of a lot of that stuff in there, and I have some of his manuscripts that were never published. You know, so
Well, I know John Trump. He seized quite a bit of his stuff that never got released. You know, they got a lot of stuff released, but there was a great deal of stuff that didn't get released by John Trump. So,
well,
now apparently, Mr. Trump, your president there, he apparently was in his laboratory back when he was a young boy, and he was showing him some of the devices. Yeah. So
That's cool.
Apparently, Donald Trump wants to get some of these devices out.
well, I don't see how that'd be possible, because how old is Trump?
Trump is now, he's 78 or 79 now.
Yeah, and Tesla died in 43.
No, his uncle, John Trump,
Yeah,
was the guy who seized all the stuff. So
and I think he was wasn't he the FBI agent that was outside the door?
yeah, he
Yeah.
was there the day they seized all his documents at his hotel. And I actually seen that hotel. I walked by it when I was in New York City there a few years back. So
Isn't it amazing how he was just outside the door when Tesla died?
yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't coincidence.
Yeah, I have a feeling. See, a lot of people don't know. I think it was about a month earlier, Tesla got hit by a taxi cab.
Yeah.
And he was injured. Now, I don't know if that was an attempt to take him out, but you know, anything's possible, right? It could have been just a fluke that he got hit by a cab, or it was meant to happen. So I don't know. It's kind of one of those things we'll never really find out, right?
Yeah. Gotta be there
Yeah.
in the hallway.
Yeah, just waiting. Is it time yet?
Yeah.
I got vulture at the door.
So
Yeah. So yeah, that's just one of those situations that is just going to go down in history that nobody's ever going to know. Like same thing like JFK, nobody's really going to know the real answer to it because it's just going to be surrounded by conspiracy theory, right? So
yeah.
So hold on,
Yeah.
did you have Bob Boyce at your one of your conferences? I believe I saw that on your channel.
Yeah, he's been to two of them. You know.
He did that. What was it? Water Smacker.
Yeah, he's the brains behind the Water Smacker, and the other guy. Oh, my brain! I'm having a brain fart, guys. Oh man, the Hydrogen Garage. You know, they build it, and they come to speak at my conferences occasionally. You know, and they make a point of putting on their label Bob Boyce Technology inside. You know, on all the Water Smackers.
How about
Nice.
How about Walt Jenkins? Was he on your conference doing the
Yes.
hydrogen,
Yes, and the last time he was at the conference, I was at the Crown Plaza, and it was just before he died. You know, because then he goes back home. On his way home. His RV had an accident. He got banged up pretty bad in that. And then he goes to home. Then they have that hurricane, you know, and he goes to evacuate, and I don't think he made it to the hospital, you know. And now you got these other people who are part of his corporation taking over, and I don't think they like us because we put so much stuff about Walt Jenkins and the technology out there. They really don't like that, and they're so secretive about it and everything, you know. But it all gets back to it. Like the guy who's doing the inventing, that's the guy. It's all in the brain, you know. It's what's in the guy's brain, you know, who can see things different than what you do, you know. And that altered state is the real secret, you know. And
That's right. Everybody saying the same thing gets you nowhere.
well, yeah, you know, well,
Yeah, think outside the box.
and everyone. It seems like the people with the money, you know, they think that they are entitled to everything just because they have money, you know. And look at Elon. I mean, he thinks he's an inventor. He never really invented anything. It's his money. His family's money.
He's a con man. He's a showman.
Yeah, he's a charlatan. I mean, he's.
Like he paid like a lot of good money for those inventors to work.
Well, what's really bad
Also
about
paid
it,
a lot of good money for video game clout.
yeah. Well, did you see that test they have? Like they take a screen, they put it on a highway, okay, and they put this dummy on the other side of it, and they drive these self-driving cars at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the cheap models, okay, will stop, but Elon's Tesla model will run right through that and slam into the dummy, you know. And you're paying a premium price, but you're not getting a premium product. He's cheaping it out. It's
Yeah.
because
You see the visuals like that people have released of the Tesla, what it sees and it detects? It's kind of scary.
because it's using all optical and it's not using a LiDAR like the other cars are doing because he's too cheap to put it in his car, you know. And it's dangerous, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because you're paying a premium price.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's basing all the product on a brand, right? It's like having a
And then look at all this money going to SpaceX and that. I mean, you know, that's old technology. I worked on the space shuttle, you know. I worked on the seats, you know.
Nice.
But that's old technology, you know. And it's not even up to par with the Saturn V, I bet, you know, when you get down to it. And
yeah, exactly. It's archaic technology. This stuff is so out of date. Even the space shuttle, like you know, we all know, you know, the black programs are out there. They have worked on exotic propulsion. You know, why not use it for space exploration? Or if they are and they're doing it in secret, well, I think the taxpayers should be informed where their dollars are going to. And I think that's where a lot of people have a problem with the black budget programs, what their money is going to pay for. And as a taxpayer, you know, I'm not American, but as you guys are, I think you have every right to know where those tax dollars are going. Is it going for the space shuttle program, or is it going for space military operation? You guys should have the right to know where those tax dollars are being spent.
Well,
But
I
the
think to
government,
a point though, you know, because like I worked on nuclear missiles. Okay, my last year in the Army, I was missile maintenance for the Pershing 1A, just as they're coming out with the Pershing 2. Okay, and our unit had some people down to White Sands to do the testing, but you don't want everyone to know what goes inside of a nuclear bomb, you know.
No.
And now we're going to be getting into a new world thing here, you know, because you're looking at the delivery systems. And if you look at Star Trek, well, the only movie that had it right is Stargate, where they took that nuclear device and they beamed it up into the aliens' ship.
Mhm.
You know? Yeah. So how do you defend against that? You
You
know?
just don't.
But I remember in 1984, when I was going to school, I was a senior at that time. A late senior because I was in the military for about 10 years. But anyway, the Air Force guys gave me a bunch of posters to hand out. And they were like, you know, the 21st century Air Force. And they had like what I believe is the Aurora, you know. And I'm handing these things out. And a couple of weeks later, they come to, remember those posters we gave you? What did you do with them? I said, well, I gave them out. He goes, oh, those are classified. And so I believe that was the Aurora. And I believe that they are using electrogravitics, you know, drives and
oh
everything.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no doubt. You know,
And the reason that they pulled out of the shuttle is being part of a NASA, they had to share a lot of that technology. Okay. And by getting out of NASA, they can block that off. But I believe that they're using that stuff, and all the SpaceX stuff is just a show because we had enough parts to make another shuttle, but they refused to let us build it. You know, and Martin Marietta and Lockheed and Rockwell, they were going to go together and put it together and fly it on their own, but they would never let them do that. But now you got, you know, Elon out here with SpaceX and the other Bezos with his was it Blue Orbital or something like that. and so technology, you know, is just to keep us occupied, thinking we're really advancing, and that's, you know, that like the lasers, you know. In 1984, on one of the road trips that the Air Force took us on, was down in Albuquerque at Kirkland, and they had the airborne laser right there, and they just figured out how to focus that beam in an atmosphere, you know. And so that was in 1984, and I'm right there, you know, seeing this stuff. And they had this laser, they flipped the switch on, and it had this huge piece of metal there, you know, and it put a hole about, I don't know, 2 feet in diameter. Punch that thing in just a second. They just flip the switch, you see a blue light, and boom, you see all this metal just drop to the floor. You know,
Nice.
it's about 3 or 4 inches thick there, you know. It's just, wow, you know. And they're showing us this because they were trying to get us to recruit us as scientists in the Air Force. See, so they were showing us the like what was Dragon Speech now. They were doing in the back rooms of the Air Force Academy when I was going to school. You know, and this is all at the very beginning. You know, MS DOS was king at that time. You know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, and one of my first jobs I worked on to do our program, and we were doing it all on the Fairchilds, ones and zeros. You just flip the switch, you know, 1 or 0. You know, so we put your program in, you know, flip them up, and you push the button, you flip them up. You know, and that's how you got your codes in there. I mean, and now these guys, you know, have all these super high level languages. You know, what you see is what you get. I mean, unbelievable. To this day, I still trust coding more than the what you see, what you get. On my website, on the .info, that's all straight HTML, hand coded, you know, by hand using an editor, you know,
Nice.
the old fashioned way.
yeah, that's the way I started too. HTML.
Yeah, I still do. And they changed it a little bit because I could see some things looking squirrely. I gotta go change my thing now because they changed the meaning of the code, you know. So
The platform changes. Yeah, it's really cool. So as far as TeslaTech, you have a conference coming up soon, right?
right, and our information is on our website, teslatech.info. And if you go there and you click on the big red panel there, big red button there, it'll take you right to the program. If people send me an email, steve@teslatech.info, I can send them a copy of that Kipper plan that we had up there. Okay.
Very nice.
You know, I send them that PDF. And our conference runs about from Wednesday. On Wednesday for the workshop, we're gonna have build your own drones, you know, and we're gonna have kits there. And people who come to that workshop will be able to, if they buy the kit, it's gonna be a real cheap kit. He's just looking to recover material costs. But when you leave that workshop, you'll have your own drone you can take home and play with, you know, terrorize the neighbors with it, you know. Literally, you know. And that's going to be on Wednesday. And then Wednesday evening, we're going to have Elena Friedman. She was a lady that was on my show Sunday, and she talks a lot about HARP. And HARP almost got me killed, you know. That's when they attacked me with an electromagnetic wave. It took me 6 months to recover from, you know, and I know it was them. And that's what I did. I put together a book on mind control. I put together a book on non-lethal weapons because I had to figure out if I was going crazy, you know, because I couldn't even sit in front of a computer, you know, at one point because I was so sensitized to the fields, you know.
Well,
And,
why would they want to attack you?
There's a couple different agencies within the government, forces within the government, okay, and they're fighting amongst each other. And the bad guys got to me first, okay. They're the ones who attacked me. Then after I got recovered and started putting out my book on mind control and non-lethal weapons, the guys in gray come out and they told me just keep doing what I'm doing. They have my back, you know, and that would never happen again. And every time I've been stopped by law enforcement, things get real weird real fast. And once they throw my social security number in, they can't seem to get rid of me fast enough. And the last time the FBI threw handcuffs on me, when the guy ran my social security number, his face just turned blank, you know, and his jaw dropped, you know, and I'm going, so am I under arrest or am I free to go? He goes running back. His boss comes out, get this coat off. So, sorry about that, Steve. You know, so they know who I am.
Wow.
Yeah, they know who I am, and so you really got to watch out for that stuff, you know. And that's how come I make a point to stay in the public eye, because as long as I'm in the public eye, I feel I'm safe. You know, and they only get you when you're alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, when you're alone, nobody. Nobody's gonna worry, you know, if you die or not, you know.
Well, I've seen too many movies where they don't find the guy for a couple of weeks. I don't want to be that way. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody wants to go alone.
Well, you know what? I almost take it as a compliment if they're going after you. That means you're doing something right.
But
in a way, right?
well, like I said, there's two forces there. One who wants to get the stuff out, and one who wants to keep it locked up. Okay.
And who do you think's winning right now as far as?
I think it's a total mess right now. And but because of the internet and everything,
Yeah,
everything's like really calmed down because there is no secret anymore.
Yeah,
there
the
is no
toothpaste is out of the. Yeah, exactly. The toothpaste is out of the bottle. You can't put it back in.
And my biggest fear right now, if I put that in quotes, would be Skynet. You know, with all this AI stuff coming out, and by the way, we have a class on AI there too. It's going to teach you how to do your own AI. I figure you got to know what they're doing so to fight them right. But with the AI, they're trying to get rid of us. You know, they're trying to get all these people, like all these deportations. Those aren't by accident. You know?
I don't think they want to get rid of us. They just want to enslave us and get us confused, disinformed, in debt, especially in debt. So we pay interest rate continuously to feed the central banks and the feds.
Yeah.
Well, they're losing out on me because I'm an all cash person.
There you go.
I have a debit card. I have a couple of different places, you know. I just don't want them to be able to shut me down in one place, you know. And I don't want to carry. You got to have some cash, but you don't want to have too much cash, you know. And then they put those magnetic strips in the money, so they could, when you walk through those things, you know, at the airport, and that they know how much money you're carrying, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They have technology at the grocery store. I'm a billion% sure. I'm
Oh yeah.
1%. I walk in with an amount of money, and somehow it always is exactly the same amount. It's like, how is that possible? How's that? So I started wrapping them in aluminum foil just to offset the system to see if they can't, you know, mess with them.
And then you got these things here. And you ever notice me talk about something, next thing you know, start getting all these ads about what you're talking about? They're listening, you know, even when you tell it not to, you know. And so, to me, you know, and then when Elon gets in the government and he starts doing all this stuff, you know, the Doge, you know, he's creating chaos, but in the chaos, he's stealing the info. He's gotten everybody's info from the IRS and Social Security. He's trying to put all this stuff together so he can have like a master database on each and every person in the United States.
Oh yeah, it gives them a step up in business. You know, if you know that your rival is, you know, like underwater when it comes to their loans and stuff like that, that's damaging. That's, you know, rigging the whole game.
It's not even that. I mean, they could treat people.
Know what they call that? They call that classic communism, aka China, and they're doing it here in Canada as well.
No, it's industrial fascism is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Industrial fascism, you know, communism kind of, well, I think people
communism is a collective ideology that doesn't really play here.
It's more authoritarianism, you know, dictators and that, you know.
Yeah.
Have to have total control on it. And with the cloning technology starting to come out with, you know,
total surveillance. Total surveillance. Yeah.
Well,
Mr. Elswick, how would you shield yourself from HARP or similar technologies? How could you, in your day-to-day, what do you do to protect yourself from these rays, frequencies, energies that are, you know, bombarding you, high energy fields?
Well, the high energy fields, if you're in a metal building, you're pretty well protected from the external. But now you got the internal. You got these Wi-Fi's. You know, there is no protection anymore. There is no privacy. You know, and with the Wi-Fi's now, they can actually see through walls with Wi-Fi. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we are in a whole new realm. You know, where, well, we have no protection, you know, and you're totally exposed. And so you can either not do things that you might be embarrassed about or develop some thick skin and they go one ear and out the other. I mean,
I believe Yanis Varoufakis, the former Minister of Economics of Greece, described what we're currently experiencing as techno-feudalism. So we're transitioning out of capitalism into a techno-feudalist economic system.
And if you get to where I'm going, you get in the middle of nowhere, it won't matter as much, you know, and become more self-sufficient, you know, as much as you can, you know. But there is no protection, you know. I try not to use, like when I'm getting ready to move, and when I move, I won't have Cox cable or Mediacom, I'll have to rely on like SpaceLink or Starlink or whatever. And then they also have Earthlink. And I'll probably go with Earthlink because not only are they cheaper, they're higher throughput, and they're stationary. Whereas the other ones are rotating all the time and they're switching over. So I'm going to go with the stationary one, I think. And, or just have a good Wi-Fi in there, or if they have DSL, and that's another thing. People don't understand DSL. They think it's slow, but when you look at the speeds of DSL, they're quite high. And on a cable, every time you add a person onto it, it slows it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you live out in the middle of nowhere,
true.
like I did back when I lived in Queen Valley, I was the last guy on the line, so it was like crack the whip, And so my signal was all over the place, and it was so bad they paid me back for 2 years of telephone service because they couldn't even understand what I was saying. Their noise was so bad.
That's terrible.
And I ended up getting DSL, which was super fast, and it was within a mile of the optical cable, so I got high speed, that way. And
There you go.
And so I guess you just gotta watch everything, Like even we have no control over our lives anymore. The food you eat, Here they put all kinds of garbage in it these days, and not everybody can grow their own, And so just be aware and try to avoid things when you can.
I was hoping Kennedy, when he got in there, would take out some of those artificial food flavorings and stuff like that and kind of help us clean out some of that stuff in the food industry.
Well, he's trying to, but he's getting his he's running into difficulties, too. Yeah. And the YouTube keeps pulling some of my videos. I have over about around 1,500 videos up there. A lot more from Global Sciences. They talk about vaccines and all these.
Yeah.
And it seems like those they've been trying to hit me. I only had about 5 pulled so far, maybe 6, but still, I don't think they should have ever been pulled. And so if you get a chance, check out those older ones. I mean, a lot of these guys aren't with us any longer, and this Real ID now, it took them 20 years to get that Real ID to the point where it is now, and now they're forcing it to have it. The Real ID, and the reason it took 20 years is because we don't want them to have that much information about us. We never did, The states don't want it either, But now they were kind of forced into it, and now you won't even be able to fly without it. It gets back to control, And now that Elon has access of all your information, the question is, how do you put the genie back in the bottle? And I think it's going to be a long time before we get to that point where we can.
Yeah, he just quit today. You know that, right? He they did a press conference and they named that kid, what was his name? Big Balls. He's taking over for him. They announced it on Fox News. Big headliner, Big Balls. Dude, I was dying. I mean, right there on the news, man. I had to click on the button because it said it. Who says that?
They put that guy in charge? What?
Dude, I don't know if they put him in charge or what, but they had a big story on there. Him sitting in there with the president and Elon as Elon quit. And then they announced Big Balls. And I'm going.
Dude, you can't write this.
No, you can't. It was the best, dude. But no matter which side you're on, that was funny.
Was he wearing his 2 hats in that one?
No, I think he was just wearing one.
One, yeah.
Oh, some young kid, too. That's what even made it funnier.
The thing is, they have all these young kids making all these changes. They don't know what the hell they're doing, I mean, they don't have any work experience, and
they're good at following orders. They're good sheep. That's what they are.
Well, the people giving the orders don't know what to tell them to do because, unless you're doing it, you really don't know what you're doing. I mean, when I went to work for Sperry, out of college, fresh students, and got this new job, and I go to work and all I'm doing is sitting right next to this old guy watching him punch in numbers and flipping switches and everything. Is like, and he's not saying anything. He's not telling you what he's doing,
Yeah.
After 2 weeks, it's like, wait, what the hell are you doing? Why don't you explain this to us?
It's got to be awkward.
And they started, opening up and kind of telling us, and then when they were putting in a new system for like ordering parts, and it was going to be a corporate wide effort, and then over about 3 or 4 factories, and then our unit, because we bought the stuff, we inspect the stuff, and all this information had to be transferred. And so they're doing a unified system, They had a whole crew of people there, and they always had one guy come and sit with us, for a week at a time, and we'd be telling him what we were doing, what we were putting in, and what we were looking for. And he'd be taking his notes. He'd go back and they make changes to the program. And then they'd have us come in on weekends and put garbage into the system just to see if we could break it. And you don't see that happening here. So they're not even putting any kind of thought, no testing, no nothing, And so, I'm worried about my Social Security check because, the worst thing can happen to you is they put you as dead. Then when you're dead, do you know how hard it is to prove you're alive? Once they mark you as dead, and it's a nightmare. And this idea they're paying millions of people, dead people, money, that ain't happening. That ain't happening because they know who's dead and who's not. For the most part, unless you die and someone puts you in a freezer and is taking your check, and the government can't do really anything about that, unless you're going to have nationwide freezer checks every week or something. I mean, so I don't know. So,
but how come a whole bunch of dead people voted Democrats a couple of years ago? I don't understand.
Well, I grew up south of Chicago, and they claim that 300 people jumped out of the graves and voted for John Kennedy.
That's all misinformation. That's all misinformation. Statistically, voter fraud is very, very insignificant. It rarely happens because of the consequences, and it's so hard to do.
Except for all the people that got arrested and in court for it.
It's about creating
those
people that don't exist to like for black budget funding. So if these people really, they created them out of thin air, they don't exist, but they somehow, for government money. Well, that money is called the black budget. They create fictitious people, fictitious businesses to fund fictitious nonprofit organizations in order for, the money to disappear. And those,
But that's CIA crap, That's CIA stuff, and that, and but like to vote, I mean, every time I went to vote, it's not like, well, in Vegas it's a little bit different because they have like a centralized stuff. But even so, each ballot is local to you and your address, and the people across the street may or may not have, depending on which precinct they're in. So the ballots aren't all the same, so it makes it very hard to have that. And if you live in a small town, everybody knows you're in a small town. I guarantee you, and they know everything you do. And so if you live in a small town, it's good preparation for the way we live nowadays, where everybody's watching, I mean, even my computer, I unplug my camera at night. I don't use one of these screens, where it can read, at all.
Very smart. Unplug it entirely. Sometimes if your only option is to put a piece of tape over it, you can do that too, but that's extremely a good protocol.
Yeah, because it also takes care of the mic too, when you do that.
They don't catch you dancing in the living room naked on your living room TV.
When he's right, there's hidden mics everywhere and devices that people forget about. There's one in your camera that you might forget about, and even though the camera's off but it's plugged in, they could be listening.
Electronic tyranny at its best.
Yeah,
of course,
pretty much.
Of course. At some point, I was driving in my hometown, And I said, "Oh, look at that bar! How boring it is! How boring it looks." And then an hour after, I started having ads on Facebook about that bar. Of course.
Yeah, you'll talk about something that you've never talked about before, and all of a sudden you get ads for it.
I know.
Yep. Like I have an Alexa at home. When we're not using it, I unplug the damn thing. I don't leave it in because it's spying on you.
Yeah.
For advertisements.
That's also good protocol.
But if you think it, not even say it. I've had this where I'm thinking of something, not even verbalized it to, out loud, nor had a conversation with it, nor searched it, a thought. And then I see it, through my feeds.
Well,
they pick up on thought frequency. That's what I don't understand.
Well, the AI is learning your algorithm, probability of what your thoughts are going to be. And that's scary when you think about it. It's actually predicting what you're going to think.
So what's the best thing to, fight against this? Like in the middle of the day, just break out and where you throw off algorithm.
Well, no, what you do is you take your cell phone and your laptop and you throw it in the ocean.
The problem with that, though, like that's how I make my living is on the computer. But what they here Elon is, he wants these neural links to be going through, and that's the kind they push to get they get those FBI guys who would regulate that. They all got fired, and
mutilating monkeys and stuff, trying to get the implants to work. I don't know. I'm all for augmentations if they're necessary. If you have like eyesight problems and you need augmented eyes, but that's a little extreme. I don't know if I'd do that.
Well, if he could do it with a wire, okay, you can do it in other ways. You're starting to get into subtle energies in that, and they're getting better and better at reading that stuff.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that you can do it without, the implant, though. Manipulate consciousness as a technology.
That is,
well, something to explore.
But see, you can read electrical signals. I mean, you don't have to have a wire to it to be able to pick up what your brain is, and they're really trying to decode the brain in your thoughts. And I think a lot further than anyone thinks they are. Because
you dump enough money into something, eventually you get some kind of answers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna build a Faraday cage for my head. I'm gonna make a helmet and just like Faraday cage my entire head.
just don't go under a giant Tesla coil like what's his name, that magician did, and spit out water and electrocute himself. David Blaine, he was doing that stunt under the Tesla coil with the Faraday cage. And then he spit out water, and it made a connection to the.
And then zapped him.
Yeah, but he's lucky he didn't stop his heart.
Yeah, really.
Very lucky. Yeah, just don't do me a favor. Don't use those tinfoil hats. Camouflage.
Yeah, paint it or something. Don't make it look obvious.
But
I was thinking of putting tinfoil over my Blue Jays hat.
I was gonna say we need to get Mike a nice cyberpunk one with some LEDs in it, some RGB lights.
Yeah. Well, it's getting pretty bad though. I mean,
well, the problem is
I'm waiting for the them to grow teeth. Because
I heard about that technology a while ago. They were working on some kind of micro vibrational something where they would have a specific frequency they would put to the gum and it would stimulate growth. But I never heard anything after that. It was 12 years ago now.
Well, the Japanese guys are coming out with some stuff, and I heard some Canadian people are supposed to. But I need some teeth badly. I can't afford dentures,
Well, the mechanism to regrow teeth is in our DNA. We just need to learn how to activate it. I think the frequency therapy could be a route. I don't know.
I'm with you. I need some good teeth myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, eventually, you know, we all need some care and TLC, right? So, you know, even now I'm only 36, but my knees are starting to hurt. You know, I'm starting to get those pains, so I got to prepare myself.
36. Wait till you get to 52. Like,
oh, no kidding.
I know.
Huh?
Yeah. No, it's going to be rough, but hopefully by then I won't have to do construction work anymore, and I'll just be in the lab here.
Nice.
I can barely climb steps right now. And if I get this place I'm looking for, I'm going to break my lease by just getting the doctor to write me a thing where I can't climb steps. You know, I live on the second story. And
for sure.
I take the dog out, you know, at night, you know, and come back in, man. Sometimes I just barely make it in, you know, because it's just, I have to walk at an angle. It's like I do a crab walk to get up the steps. My joints ache so much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
right there with you, man.
Yeah, that's not easy to hear.
Yeah, well, we're all going to end up going one way or the other. We don't get out of here alive. That's
gracefully, right? Yeah.
I hope as quickly I don't see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
well, I think a good thing is to stay active. My grandpa, he's 90, and he's, you know, the reason why he's so sharp at his age is, you know, he's been active doing things, you know, even if it's not like anything that's going to be somewhat productive, just keeping busy.
Yeah. Apparently I heard today they came out with some study and they're saying that if you have strong legs, they say your chances of living a longer life goes up by like 30%.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I practice, but the other thing is, I practice Taekwondo since I'm a teenager and Muay Thai, so nice. it builds up your legs. And I did weightlifting for my legs too, but
Phil doesn't skip leg day, huh? He does his squats.
But most importantly, man, it gives you a boost in hockey, man. When you can, I was able to outburst anybody when I was playing hockey.
No, you're right. When I was younger, I took Taekwondo briefly, but I know, like, just, you know, stretching, and it gives you agility. It makes you faster and quicker. Even it doesn't matter how much you weigh or how big you are, you know, you still end up quicker and more agile after, you know, some Taekwondo.
If I had kids, I would teach them Taekwondo and followed by hockey and so on, but it's the roots. It's the roots.
Yeah, I loved it.
How do you, that's probably what Connor McDavid is doing. The hockey player, McDavid, I forgot his first name, but he skates so fast, you know, the guy is so fast.
Connor.
He probably worked a lot on his legs.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Did it pop in one of those Buns of Steel videos every once in a while?
Exactly. I'll get my transducers.
Oh,
I'll get my transducers from my Renegade device, and I'll put one on each cheek.
You guys. We call it electro twerking.
It must be Friday night.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, Steve.
Hey,
Steve, I apologize. We call this going off the rails, and from time to time we do that.
Yeah, sometimes you just got a Tesla twerk.
Tesla twerk.
Oh man.
It's funny.
Hey, what happens to the panels? You know, with us in it, the cartoon that Nathan and Ben had. What happened to the cartoons?
Oh, sorry. We usually do things in a group, man, and there's not a group to do it in right now, so we'll have to wait.
Yeah.
Those things are great, though. I would take everybody's voice, man, and what they said and twist it around to a Star Trek episode that made absolutely no sense, but was hilarious to listen to.
Yeah. It's like those old Japanese anime shows that make absolutely no sense whatsoever, but they're so awesome to watch.
And they have big eyes. They have big eyes, and they always like crying for like. You can't see their face for like 10 seconds.
It also reminded me a little bit of what was that movie, Kung Pao Enter the Fist, where he used a bunch of old footage and then implemented himself in there and reworked the story.
We still have to do one with our whole group on the International Space Station.
Oh,
I think that'll be it.
We talked about making it into a 7-Eleven on the way.
Yeah.
That was great.
And we'll put Gerald in the rubber room and
rubber room, is he gonna be bouncing around?
Yeah.
If you guys do ever get out to our conference and that, every night we have a social thing, and we have all this food and everything, and people are scattering over there and around and they drink and eat, for the rest of the night, and you're barely able to make it back to the place at 8 a.m, before we start all over again, But yeah.
Oh wow.
Nothing brings people together like food and drink.
Nothing brings people together, and it's a good chance to relax and unwind. And you can talk about it, and
especially drinks
and
in
there's
Vegas.
no official videos. Yeah, drinks and videos. We have.
Yeah, no videos
some people have videos.
Act out you know videos are taken.
Anyway, I guarantee you have a great time.
I've been to that hotel in Albuquerque, but I've been to something called Cosmos to the Stars conference. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's held in a hotel in Albuquerque.
Which one is it? The Crown Plaza?
Yeah. It's called Cosmos to the Stars. But pretty cool. Got invited there for something called the Trump Space Force.
That's neat. I got recruited to the Space Force. I mean, I applied, but I don't think they had any positions available in my area. I'd have to relocate.
But
I
think let's all move to Vegas, man.
Yeah, we have a. We can move here. I'm moving out. I don't like. I really don't like cities, or towns. Unfortunately, where I live in is at the edge, and I'm 5 miles from the back gate of a Lake Mead, and it was kind of country there, but in the last 5 years, it's totally built up, and you have all this new construction there and everything.
Oh yeah,
and it's too crowded for me,
Oh, you don't like big cities?
I grew up in the country,
Yeah.
It's just like I was born in the military. I was born in an Army hospital. My dad was in the Army Air Force at the time, and outside of Boston. And when my dad he stayed in the military, my mom got divorced, but my mom lived out in the country. So I lived out in the country all my life. I went to a country school and everything. I rode the school bus, had a fight every night on the school bus because I like reading books, and I'm reading books. You always have these bullies who come tapping you on the back of your head, and you can't let that stand, And
yeah, as soon as you stand out in any way, you get picked on or bullied, if you're different.
And I'm the smallest.
The bullies. I think the bullies they're jealous because when they see somebody smarter than them, they're gonna heckle you and stuff like that. So
yeah, they see what it comes easy, something that comes easy to them or to somebody else, and it doesn't come easy to them.
Yeah, exactly. So they get jealous and they know that that's exactly what happened to me. I got in a fight just once, and then I started martial arts, so nobody would because when I was in the first year or second year of high school, I was very short. I was not tall at all. I wasn't big, and I got into a fight once, and then I started martial art. Nobody would mess with me anymore. But then I looked back. What the hell happened to this guy that I got into a fight with? The guy had a stupid job, like he was a postman or something like that. Was not very smart. You know what I mean? So they
postmen statistically go postal.
yeah.
Because he use a gun.
Yeah. And it reminded me, Eric Dollard, he had the same issue when he was a kid. So what they would always have Eric Dollard Day, where he would bring an experiment into the classroom. So what he did was he always used a test subject, and he always chose the bully. And by the end of the experiment, that bully just received a huge shock and would put him in his place. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. That's one guy I wish I would have a conversation with at least once.
Well, if Aaron has a conference in Idaho, you should go, because that's where Eric will go.
Mm-hmm. Have you spoken with him personally, or
Eric?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've known Eric since. Well, there's a video called Free Energy that was made in 1987 by Borland, and Eric is going through all this. I'm sitting in the background. I'm one of their guests there.
Oh, okay.
So,
right on.
And the last time I talked to Eric was been about during COVID. Aaron had his conference up in Coeur d'Alene there at the fairgrounds. That time we got a chance to really sit and talk to him, because they were the year before. But yeah, get the chance, be an interesting person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I think BurnEye got abducted by the aliens.
Yeah.
Or the NRA.
Yeah. The NRA.
Oh, that's funny.
Men in Black showed up at his
Yeah, the Men in Black.
Yeah, I had a friend actually have them show up at his place.
Oh, wow. Do you have a story to tell there?
Yeah, he was building interesting story. He was building a very interesting hydrogen reactor, and he had it at a farm very close to Niagara Falls, Canada. And he was letting it run for a few days, and they were upstairs in the house. The unit was in the basement, and actually, in the barn beside the house. And the reactor went supernova. It created such a blast, it destroyed the entire barn, and also created a very small shockwave that registered as an earthquake.
Wow.
A 2.1 earthquake. The shockwave hit the Niagara escarpment and just rang like a bell.
Wow. That's
so
crazy.
Not only that he had the cops at his house, he also had the geological survey at his house.
Yeah, he got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Was okay though, because that's a lot of.
Oh yeah, that was a big shockwave. He said. He said the furniture on the upper level of the house jumped off the floor about 2.5 feet.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But can you imagine what he absorbed?
Oh yeah, he said if he was anywhere closer or in that barn, he wouldn't be here today to talk about it. So the canister that had the reaction in it was about 1.25 inches thick of stainless steel, and it popped it like a pop can.
So it was a malfunction, or
it was a runaway. He had a runaway in the reactor. So he also had the Ontario Energy Commission also at his place asking him about this reactor he built. and to the point where they're like almost harassing him. What were you doing? Because they thought it was a nuclear reaction he had. Well, he wasn't about to say actually it was a nuclear reaction, because if he did, then it would have made his situation a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
So he tried to downplay it as much as possible. So after that event happened, for the next couple of months, he had American Air Force jets buzzing his house on Canadian soil. Canadian soil.
Wow.
They were flying over his house.
You said a month after, or that whole month?
Yeah, pretty much after a month or a couple of months after the event. So
they started showing up.
Yeah, this all happened in Niagara Falls. Yeah.
So the man in black knocked on his door?
Yeah, he was. He's a contractor, and he was doing a building down on the main strip, right in downtown Niagara Falls, and it was inside the hotel. And they got it on video of these three gentlemen with the black hats on, black suits, walking in through the front door. And they started talking to him, and he said his whole body went numb. He couldn't move. He couldn't speak. Nothing. And he would still to this day, he won't tell me what they said to him, but he says I was totally frozen. I couldn't move. So whatever they had on him, he said it wasn't real. He said they weren't human.
Those damn Men in Black perverts. Yeah, they're nothing but perverts. That's all they are.
Not fondlers in black.
I could say the other one, but I'm not going to.
Oh wow.
But he actually showed me the video of the Men in Black coming through the door of the hotel that they were working on. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's bad. Just bad.
So that's a crazy story.
So I mean, they come at you, so you can't do anything because he was already frozen.
Well, they just wanted to give him a message. So
they wanted to send them a message.
Yeah.
No, but if you start beating them up, then what happens legally? You know, if they're aliens, they can't charge you for assault.
But remember, they're shapeshifters too. So they could play the role of the judge. They could play the role of the officer. They could play the role of just anybody. They shapeshift into whoever you're going to file a complaint.
But they'll always smell funny.
Just like Chang Tsung in Mortal Kombat, you know, you can morph into Goro.
Oh, that's bad.
You know you're popular when those guys show up, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we might get a free ride out of it.
Yeah.
Spacecraft.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I got another cool story. It had to do with the Men in Black. There was supposedly an alien ship crash. Well, not crashed, landed in a farmer's field, not too far from where I live, back in around I'm trying to think of the date. I think it was around 1988 or 1989 time frame. And apparently got on video. There was a video of it that actually broke and was on YouTube for a while. It's not there anymore. I can't find it. But anyways, a couple of friends that I knew back in those days, supposedly they had this weird encounter with the Men in Black right at the same time of that UFO landing. And they were blocking off roads trying to find where these guys were. And they were in a black SUV. Now, back in those days, there wasn't the best way he described it now is it said it looked like an Escalade, a black Escalade. But they didn't have an Escalade in 1988. Didn't exist. and they know their cars. Like my friends knew their cars, right? And when they see the vehicle, they didn't know what the heck it was. They didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't have reference until now when Escalades exist, huh?
Well, the other thing that was freaky too, when the thing was driving over the snow, it didn't make any tracks in the snow. So when it drove, there was no tracks in the snow, no tread marks, nothing, no impressions.
Huh. So it was maybe anti-gravitic, and the tires are just for show. I don't know.
Who knows
what that means?
Knows?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So that, I got a few stories. But there, even crop circles too. About 30 minutes north of where I live, back in the 80s, early 90s, they were getting crop circles there too, in the farmers' fields, and it made the news. It made the CBC. And
what's the goal of crop circles? It's why would the alien be doing that? What's the
marking the best toilet?
Marking the best toilet. No,
they mark their territory like dogs.
I have no idea. Just kidding.
Like dogs.
I know some guys that were researching it, and they say a lot of the stuff almost looks like circuit boards, circuitry and stuff.
That's what I've heard. So,
but I never really dove deep into that kind of stuff like crop circles and UFOs. I was into the UFO thing for a while, but since around the 2000s came up and I started making my HHO for the car and start getting into the free energy stuff, I just kind of made a right-hand turn into this stuff and kind of never looked back, right?
Well, it's all coming back out, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all the UFO stuff is.
Yeah, for me, it's very easy to understand their technology. So there's nothing like mysterious, and the anti-gravity, gravity, it's, force fields, energy teleportation. It's very easy.
I think what the alien stuff is, I think they just have so much advancement in material science.
Yeah.
That we're not there yet. We don't have that material science down, metamaterials and all that. We're starting to do it, yes, but we're nowhere near where these guys are at, right?
Yeah, metamaterials is not easy to replicate. No. That's what I'm trying to do with my simulator. And first, our mainstream equations are totally wrong for the nuclear level. Completely wrong. It's a mess. And do not wonder why there's no atomic simulation. Try to look it up. Try to find a atom simulator, and you're not gonna find a lot. There's just one at MIT, and it's very generic, but it's very vague. But you're not gonna find a lot of atomic simulator, and that's unfortunate because that's all we could predict. We could predict metamaterials and things like that without, mixed with AI, that would be very efficient.
Yeah, some of I don't know if you guys heard, but Joe Rogan did an interview with Hal Puthoff yesterday, and they were talking about the piece of metal that apparently Art Belf got. It supposedly is from the UFO. Mm-hmm. And anyways, Hal Puthoff, he got a hold of this material, and they put it through the spectrometer, and they said, yeah, definitely this is out of the ordinary, because there was 18 different layers of, I think it was a titanium, but the one element that I found really interesting that seems to be showing up in a lot of supposed, UFO material is bismuth.
Mm-hmm.
So
interesting.
it's kind of interesting. But he says
What
the
are
thing is, the
I'm
way
sorry. I
they're
was just going to ask: are there any unique properties to bismuth that could be interesting to note here?
There are some companies out there experimenting with bismuth to actually replace silicon as a semiconductor. And there is a company in China right now that successfully built a bismuth-based microchip with, like, when it comes to capacity-wise, it's like times 100. So not only they're able to crunch the size of the chip down, it's also exponentially larger. And they're also implementing to create the substrates for the transistors on the chip. They're using graphene to create the substrates. So this is a real huge leap forward as far as chip manufacturing, and this is big for especially like say AI systems. You're going to have a capacity 100-fold strong, more capacity and computing power, right? So that quantum computer just got a lot smaller.
Well, they also, bismuth is a step away from lead. If you heat it up and pour it differently, it turns into lead.
Right.
And the amount of capacitance that stays in it is very high. When you ping it, it pings back really fast and spikes right up.
Right, exactly. And that was what they were talking about, is the fact that this chip also requires, I think, 40 or 50% less power to do the same job with this, a conventional silicon chip. So this chip here is revolutionary. It's pretty big news. So it's being developed in China right now. So that could give them an upper hand when it comes to building AI systems. So I don't know, the Americans better step up their material science.
It would make sense in a outer craft of a UFO because it'd have a lot of reactive power. So as soon as you get that field to flip a little bit, you can push it, and it should hit real fast right away.
And that's what Hal Puthoff was talking about, this metamaterial that they got. There was layers of this bismuth and other alloys, and they were so tiny, the layers, that they actually gave a sample. I think he said Bigelow Aerospace, and they tried to fabricate exactly what this piece of metal was. They couldn't do it. They could not do the layering. And Bigelow Aerospace is a pretty high-end aerospace company. And they said they couldn't fabricate it. They couldn't do it.
Was it built as a capacitor then with the different layers?
I can imagine so. Yeah, sure. If it's being hit with a high voltage or dielectric capacitive value, sure. Maybe that's exactly how these things work. They're just giant friggin' floating capacitors.
Well, yeah, because you take an aluminum field, which has the eddy current, you take the bismuth field, which has a high reactance. Now make it into a capacitor would be perfect for the outside of a ship.
Exactly. So that's why they're saying that this material could be very well the real deal. So, and even this is coming out of Hal Puthoff's mouth, right? So he had it thoroughly analyzed with the spectrometer, and Bigelow Aerospace couldn't fabricate it. They couldn't do it. It's too advanced.
I wonder if the bismuth was melted on on each layer individually.
I think it's
all forming.
I think honestly a lot of this UFO stuff I think is like grown, like a 3D printing, doing a nano layers. They said each layer was 1 to 2 nanometers, so that's really, really thin layers.
Heat it up and see if it crystallizes between each layer of capacitance. Then you can make resonance chambers inside of it. That would really amplify it.
Yeah, it would just hold all the energy you put into it. It would just hold it.
Yeah, and then every time it goes into a new environment, it melt and redo itself.
I have something really cool. You guys are talking about like shielding, right? in a way. Okay, so I got invited to NASA. I went there, and this company gave me this thing, okay? And it's called xraycurtains.com. It's a flexible panels of flame-resistant silicon impregnated with bismuth. This material can be wrapped around curved sections. Gourmets can be added to hang the material. But it's supposed to be an electron beam radiation shielding solution. And this is what NASA uses. Okay.
Yeah, because it's like lead.
Yeah. So, but this company is local. Is it local? Yeah, it's local. I can go there and say, hey, can we have a sample?
Like, honestly, when it comes to like all the stuff that we're working on, either it's anti-gravity stuff or free energy devices, I think it's really boiling down to material science, especially like I've been working on my battery cells for, the last 2.5 years, 3 years. It's really boiling down to sheer material science.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, it doesn't matter what you're doing, free energy, anti-gravity, battery technology, anything of the sort, AI and quantum computers.
Because you want to maximize the materials and which one is magnetic, which one conducts electricity better. Titanium is obviously a good solution for that, but it's pretty much expensive. So yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I have some bismuth that I'm going to be experimenting with, and I also have gallium. So I've got both those elements to work with. I've been thinking about doing a couple of experiments in fabrication and using electrolysis type process to create nano layers. So if I can do that, that could be some game changing stuff for capacitors or batteries or whatever, right?
Which one is gallium? What is the?
It's gallium. You can actually it's a metal substance, and if you put it in your hand, it'll actually melt. It'll actually become liquid. Yeah, it starts becoming liquid at
30 Celsius.
30 Celsius, yeah.
I will send you a link right now, Joe. I'm sorry, I meant to earlier. And sorry, I got a little bit heated in a debate over on the Alien Scientist channel with Ashton Forbes, and I have respect for the guy because he has come to the same conclusions of like all of our community of like the cold fusion, the plasma, and a lot of like Hutchinson's work, of Ken Shoulders, of Hal Putoffs, and like the big foundries of it. And then that compared to Bob Lazar, that is the official mainstream media narrative by the gatekeepers of Ross Coulthart, of Jeremy Cowbell, of Lou Elizondo, of all the ones that are actually in the mainstream media and that are actually fed and paid for by the government and given their information of it, compared to everyone else like in this community, especially for like every one of the inventors that have for 40 years been going to Steve's conferences, and that each one of them is a real deal, just like Nathan, just like Phil, just like Mike, just like Ben, that are developing and working on these over unity free energy anti-gravity systems that don't get any funding, that all get knocked down. And there's the reason why. And that, it's not that it's unattainium. It's not that you have to turn hydrogen into like 10 different things that cost millions of dollars before you can put it into your fuel tank. No, what makes sense is just taking water and zapping a little electricity to it, which costs nothing. And, that's the difference. And that it's Bob Lazar has two main things. One, it's unattainium for anything anti-gravity. And two, that I have a working hydrogen car. I'm one of the only guys that I had a rocket car, but now I'm driving around in my working hydrogen car. But I have to have my own mini particle accelerator in my backyard that I have to use in the process of making my hydrogen. like unfreaking unattainium, where it's like if you were real, you would know you just need a bucket of water that you zap with freaking electricity and boom into your fuel injector and it works. Why the F do you need to have a particle accelerator, then turn it into a solid hydride and then back into another chemical reaction to make it work? That is so effing retarded, it does not make sense. And when you understand that, you understand where the disinfo comes and how it works, and that it is very attainable, and that so many brilliant people have been working their lives on it and putting it forward. And Steve Elswick here has been organizing and helping them display it and connect and meet up in person for 40 years. And, it's great to bring all of you together with the real science and the real inventors.
Picture in front of his Tesla coil and says, here. You know what I mean? I'm going to save your life. Here you go.
We need like a Danny Mays.
We need one of those guys. Oh.
Hey, Ben, what's cracking in your bar tonight? Can you put on some music at least?
Some soothing music? I can see what I got.
And actually give us an update what you're working on, Ben. Why should we all know and see? Let's see it. We're here, let's do it. What's the updates? What have you been working on? Show us, good Ben.
So right now we got the Bedini SG motor running. It's been running since last Wednesday, and it's been conditioning these batteries with negative electricity. And if I'm successful in conditioning them, I would consider sending one to Bob Greenier for analysis, because it's my theory that negative electricity might include or carry plasmoid structures that could embed themselves in the plates of the battery. And that's maybe why we're seeing those effects, specifically enhanced efficiency. The batteries will be able to hold a charge over their standard capacity, and they'll last longer. So that's what I'm doing right now. We also have the Lightning Thief system, which successfully recycles energy at a 4 times rate than the standard off-the-shelf component, like an inverter. So we're seeing phenomenal results with that as well. And it's all open source. Everything is open source. You can go on the description of my video and click on the phase 2 guide and get started in building your own 0-point energy system.
Very nice, right? And that you've been trying to reproducing lots of the Nunez's, the one-stop energy piece on Earth coil, which is a more advanced vortex rodent coil sort of thing, correct?
Yeah, the Abha variation, which is a variation of the rodent coil, but we're using the Dragon 7, the free public domain coil. It's not the same one they're using. The First Stop Energies had a different ratio that I'm going to be messing with soon. I'll be making different coil ratios and stuff like that, but we're using the Dragon 7 coil, which is the same pattern but different ratio of inner to outer diameter for the coil. And it seems to be working perfectly. We're every test that I've been able to replicate of the Nunez experiments, we're successful or exceeding what Nunez was able to demonstrate. I remember the 1 watt reduction he demonstrated by spinning the magnet. We were able to reduce our input by 30 watts, which is pretty significant. We're also utilizing the Joule Thief, the modified Joule Thief, in a way that I've never seen anybody do it with the pickup method. We're taking one coil, powering it with a Joule Thief, the Lightning Thief device, and then we take another coil, sit it on top or below the primary coil, and that coil is not hooked up to the battery, and that is able to, with being hooked up to its own Joule Thief circuit, pick up that extra energy and actually utilize it. And we fed that back into the battery.
Working on that, because it's like I've been wanting to test that exact principle for so long, and you're actually doing it and advancing it, which is awesome.
Yeah, and we've I tried to feed it back into the battery, And it did. It just without rectifying it, feeding it straight back into the battery, the output of the secondary coil, it seemed to reduce the drain of the battery. So it further increased the efficiency, like partially maybe closing the loop.
Nice.
Very nice. And what I want, like envision, is having two extra coils of identity, one on top and one directly on bottom, and two circuits with it, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the ideal situation I would have is the middle coil, the primary coil, would be a nested coil as well. That would have a nested coil to pick up all, because if you think about it, the nested design is the ultimate design to pick up and maximize all of the energy that's wasted around the coil that's being output. So that, along with one on top and one on bottom, and you're capturing everything.
Right? That's just awesome, and exactly why your research does deserve to be promoted and done, because it's you're doing it and you're getting the results, and it's exact freaking like ideas that I had come up with in my own mind, watching their technology and these coils develop over the last decade, but have been too busy doing my own electrolysis, the nanomaterials, and so much other, that it is awesome to see Ben at Beneficence TV working and developing the coil circuits, and especially a key part of electrical engineering free energy with any system is applying and utilizing the Joule thief circuit method within what you're doing, and that it gives you this extra ability of efficiency with the energy use.
The transistor is key, along with selecting the right light source or whatever you're powering the device. That all it plays into the system. It has to be in complete balance. But eventually, we are going to boil the system down into a portable version. That's the Lightning Thief. I'm actually utilizing Nathan's prototype right now, which should be sent to him very soon. But this is basically what it's going to boil down to: is a small coil and a Lightning Thief device, and then you get, like a small $20 battery, 12 volt, 20 amp hour battery or whatnot. And that's what you have for, powering a 10 watt or 10 to 30 watt light for your camping trip. So if you go camping, you can power your light basically for the entire week.
Then the next step is applying what Mr. Nathan Old Bills has been doing, and making a whole bunch of resonant coils that then pick up in the harmonic, and then can give you and power exponentially more lights with each coil wirelessly getting that same resonant energy from the original system, right?
For sure.
Yeah, Bernie's picking up what you're putting down, bro.
And
what's up, everybody? By the way, good evening.
What's up, Joe?
Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Nathan, have you had a chance to give like an update on what you've been working on and stuff and show? Because it's like Steve, like you're new to all of this, and this literally is the League of Extraordinary Inventors, and every single one in here has been working on a whole bunch of crazy inventions, reproducing other like main stable like ideas and projects in the free energy like community and understanding for like decades, and then advancing it and coming up with their own things and taking the stuff to like second, third, fourth generation style stuff. And then to end it off, maybe Mike, have you been able to talk about your batteries and all of your stuff yet too?
Is all right if I go, Bernie?
Absolutely.
So I resonate Tesla coil, so I can take a primary Tesla coil, resonate it. I can take a secondary Tesla coil, just the number 2 coil, put it 6 feet away and absolutely resonate it without a problem. I can also pull plasma out of that number 2 coil without anything else connected to it. It's just by itself, the exact value of the coil, and I have a primary coil 6 feet away that's plugged in, and that one gets to turn on, the other one turns on as well, just by the resonance. Now I can do that throughout the entire room here in the garage without a problem, and just start clicking them on based on the resonance frequency being exactly perfect in every single one of them. That's just one of the things. The other thing was I can prove out the fact that as soon as you get resonance in a system, you're going to get extra energy put into that system. It'll actually throw both plasma in the top and the bottom discharging out of that number 2 coil. It's sitting alone. So you get a vortex in both directions. It turns into a bipolar Tesla coil as soon as the energy runs through it. Absolutely amazing. But I go further than that. I could put a rod down the center of my Tesla coil with nothing attached to it, absolutely nothing attached to it. I put it right into water, and I can restructure water. I can take the plant, make it grow faster. I can do everything that water smacker does. Everything that it says it can do, I could do right here in my garage. I can produce fields of energy that are way stronger than anything else. It'll produce a field that goes on the outside at 10 volts, maybe 2.5 feet of the Tesla coil, but the rod down the center hooked to a wire going into water will produce a 5-foot field coming out of it. I'm compressing the inside of that Tesla coil in order to change the energy. Now, because I'm taking a transverse wave in my electrical and make it into a longitudinal wave in my static, which comes out of it, the 2 waves in oscillation make a radiant wave. It's one of the things Tesla talked about that are not really well understood. That radiant wave builds out in scalar. So now I take that and I compress it into the center. So what it does is it pushes back on the micro scale, and as it forces it in, the harder you force it in, the more it pushes back out the energy. So it's working to amplify the field by multitudes of energy. It is the same thing that Sal Paez talks about. It's the same field that he's talking about. I can reproduce the field on the outside that takes static electricity and holds it in with a radiant energy field. I can then take that static electricity built on the outside and push it with that radiant field. I can turn off and on your computer. I can change all the different channels on your computer. I can do all kinds of things with resonance. The exact resonant frequency of everything is key to making anything work and give you extra energy. When you want to sit there and take your Tesla coil, put the rod down the center of it, put it into your rodent coil, I can use your rodent coil as a bit. So basically what I do is I can take one leg of the 22 different wires coming out of that rodent coil. Each one of them I can convert until I stop the saturation from happening in that rodent coil. So at the first one, you're not going to get enough energy to loop the system. At the second one, you will. The third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, as you go on, will continue to produce energy. When you get to that point where the rodent coil is no longer saturated, you got to go back one. Then you have multiple powers of energy coming out of this thing. I've absolutely figured out how to make resonance more powerful, to make runaways in circuits possible. In order to create the maximum amount of energy you could possibly have in something, depends on exact perfect resonance. Not close, not kind of close, perfect. I could get it running from one coil to just a number 2 coil. That number 2 coil will transmit to another number 2 coil. It's not attached to anything. Then another one that's not attached to anything. And we can continue to go from 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 all day long. Out the door, around the corner, and up the street, man. We can make all of the energy you want to happen. It's all about resonance. I figured it out finally. I put all this stuff into the Tesla technology, man. I make beautiful coils, man. So I have some behind me that are absolutely museum quality, man. These things are nice. And that's what I've been doing, man, all the time. Building different coils, building different systems, seeing how they react, seeing what the resonance value of them are, being able to loop the system by being able to bounce them back and forth in resonance to create a runaway so that we never have to stop it. The key isn't the battery. The key is the resonance. You have to be able to hit it at the right pitch, at the right time, and the right amplification, man. And then you can really, really put a system together. So that's what I've been working on.
Nice.
Awesome, brother.
Awesome, dude.
Steve, do you have any questions in regard to that? As I know, well, you're TeslaTech, and
I was just listening to him, and he needs to come down to the conference. You know, he can demonstrate his stuff.
I agree with that. And I'm going this year, and I think everybody that's here should try to be there too, because we got to make it epic.
Yeah, you guys get there, and if you want to demonstrate stuff, then we'll have tables where you can. I'll sit you up at the table. You can demonstrate and talk to people on it. You know, I know Ben would like to probably meet Bob Grenier. He's going to be there at the conference. You know,
nice.
So
Bob's going to be there. I was hoping for that, and that's epic. And I look forward to being there with Bob.
You know, we had like 20 speakers, you know, and like I say, you know, and they all get together at night even. You know, you can catch them at breakfast, you know, because if you stay at the hotel, the breakfast comes to the room. And if you at night, you know, I provide the refreshments at night, you know, and so and everybody gets a chance to sit and talk, you know, in a relaxed environment, you know, where people aren't on the guard, you know, and they're off camera, so people are a little bit freer about what they say when they're off camera, you know. I know I am. You know, there's things
all the good stuff.
100%.
There's things I won't talk about in front of a camera.
For all of us, and half the people here even have NDAs and stuff with proprietary information, yet alone so many more of the actual whistleblowers out there or former military or government people that it's like you've signed legalities that there's consequences if you speak about something publicly. Thus, only with trusted, closed-knit fellow inventors and scientists is one comfortable to discuss and share things for the sake of advancement of science and humanity with each other in the community, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
When's the next conference of TeslaTech?
Our conference is August 6th to 10th in Albuquerque.
Okay, cool.
August 6th to 10th. Okay.
New Mexico, here we come.
And then we can all meet in person too, right? It's like,
yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, if you don't mind, since old man just went, what I want to talk about real quick is actually directly related to all the work that he did. In fact, it's based right off of it. So I'm actually really happy that you're here for it, Bernie, because I think that you're really going to vibe with this whole idea. But really, it was Phil that I wanted to share this with, because as I was doing this thought experiment, now mind you, something could be totally wrong, might totally be bogus, what I'm about to say, okay? But it was a thought experiment that ended up in a little bit of a theory, all right? Now, taking everything that Nathan had just said about being able to put an indefinite sum of secondary coils into perfect resonance and just continue that, you know, to whatever extent is necessary. What the thought was to make a macroscopic crystal lattice in resonance with silica dioxide's native resonant frequency, and to have the structure of the secondary coils perfectly aligned with the lattice structure of quartz crystal. Okay. By doing this, what you would have is an analogous EM system that would act as a virtual piezoelectric, in my opinion.
And actual physical plasma field in that harmonic resonance.
So, right. So what you would have is you would have a primary secondary that's feeding the rest of the structure. You'd have secondary set up into the molecular crystalline structure of a quartz crystal, being hexagonal or whatever have you, right? Once you're able to achieve that and the spacing is all correct based on the input of your system, and the native frequencies, the key here is that it would have to be native to silica dioxide, because that's what you're going for. You would have interacting toroidal field patterns, that would actually form a larger overall field pattern, toroidal field pattern, building out the levels of it. Now, if you're able to create this analogous virtual structure, at that point, it would, in my theory, at least, act as a virtual piezoelectric. So anytime that you now assert any pressure differential on the external field geometry, it would be a reactive type of voltage accumulation and ultimately discharge. So it acts as a force field in that case, because unlike a crystal where it's structured and it's not going to discharge unless if it's in direct contact with the conductor, you have this there's no walls to it. So it's not like you have to have a solid piece of crystal. It's just a macro crystal. It's a macro version of the crystalline structure.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. So now whether or not this works, again,
it's going to work. I know exactly what you just described and the effects of it and how it all applies. And it's like this, it's both the incorporating the key feature of the lattice nano coating on the outside of the coils, which then projects the EM field out that then creates the plasma field interactions, as well as the fact that you're putting it in the harmonic resonance with quartz and silica. The only possible issue is it might have too powerful of effects depending on the strength of what you're doing and how it goes out. But
right. So what it would be like to be inside of that field, I really can't predict such a thing because I've never been inside of a piece of quartz crystal to really report back. But what I can say is that it would be reactive, and just like a piece of quartz works in the scale, the more pressure you exert to the quartz,
there's videos of quartz like under pressure and stuff where apparently it's like glowing and goes anti-gravity and stuff. Regardless, it's piezoelectric where under pressure it gives off light. That then putting that quartz in the active harmonic resonance of that, like that's wild. That might
right. All the secondaries are just mimicking it at a huge scale. And because they would, grow in capacitance and be reactive in the sense that the more pressure you apply, the higher your discharge. You don't need large amounts of energy in to get huge amounts of energy out. Huge amounts of energy, because every single one of those secondary cells are going to want to dump discharge. And it's by orders of magnitude because of the pressure, the compression that exists not only within each of these secondary toroidal flow patterns, but also on their torsion interaction fields and their center compression fields. Okay, so you're talking about orders of magnitude, little in, tons out, and all pressure sensitive once something comes into it.
Creating the Townsend effect.
There you go. So, Bill was saying earlier, he has his system. It works, it's, but in order to scale it up, you need huge and, forgive me, I'm not trying to be offensive, almost impractical amounts of energy in order for it to be any somewhat effective. But not this. And that's why I wanted to come on and discuss it.
I fully understand that. That's actually genius. And what the last parts that you added in there with it, like that deserves a whole episode on itself in unpacking it all, explaining it, and the relevance of it. Yeah. Awesome, we got that down. I'm sorry.
And mind you something, and just to interject real quick, mind you something. This is only on a thought experiment with quartz. But realistically, you can try to replicate any sort of molecular structure the same exact way by throwing each coil into a different realm of resonance with each other. Yes. That would be analogous with the elemental.
That off. That exact principle and method is exactly what Keshi teaches with his Magrav coils, and that you do the nano coating, but then also, and I've proven this and shown it, and it's key part of this electrolysis, electrochemistry, alchemy, is as soon as you put your own genetic material, like whether it's blood or hair or skin, into the electrolysis on the cathode side, instantly attaching to the atomic hydrogen that's coming up off of the reaction is a new white flake that is he says your amino acid, it's like, I don't know if it's the RNA or whatever, but it's like your identity, your bio nano field resonant cell structure that you then take that and also coat your coils in it, and thus you're projecting your own resonant bio field out of your coils.
That actually makes sense too. It's similar, not the same, but very circumstantially similar. Absolutely.
Aspects of it. Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, it's all the same. So.
Bernie, I got my power cell here running.
Perfect. Yes. So to finish this off, we're getting a live demo of Mike with Faraday Research, the lead of League of Extraordinary Inventors, and then we'll get Steve to pull up your screen again and share how people can buy tickets for TeslaTech, the event. And then I'm sadly, I have to run. You guys can keep going by all means, but I've got another stream I have to do immediately hereafter with Mike at Alien Carvings. He's the one with the parts out of Mexico that that's a whole other freaking rabbit hole. Now, Mr. Mike, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. Yeah, so just a little demonstration model. The cell's been running about over a month now. I've been working on this probably for about 2.5 years on the materials that go into the cell. I can kind of show you a little bit how the cell looks. I'm just taking off, and it works on the piezoelectric effect. So each of them are graphite plates. This is a high-grade graphite. They use this actually in nuclear power plants, and my partner, we actually have a contact where we're able to actually get this high-grade graphite. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a very simple device. Fabrication, well, that's kind of what's under the NDA right now. But the second I put the thing on, you can see it doesn't have to charge up or anything. It just goes as soon as I complete the circuit. So we do believe that there is a quantum tunneling effect happening here. It's a matter of choosing the right sacrificial cathode and make that last. And that's the key. So the way I've got it right now, these cells here should, in theory, last for about 10 years. My hopes are to get it up to about 20 years life. So still work in progress. Like I said before we went on tonight, I need a proper lab to do proper fabrication. Also, it's got to be a clean environment too, right? So yeah, I'm just trying to make a battery that you don't have to charge. You just plug it in and go, power any device with it, charge other batteries with it. It's just something that's always kind of fascinated me. So I've kind of worked on the sidelines and haven't really published that much on it. But that's pretty much it. Sorry, short and sweet.
Amazing. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
That's your current project. And then there's several other you just didn't have to set up tonight, like your Renegade machine, generator, and your structured water, and a few others. A whole bunch on your channel, and everybody should go subscribe to Faraday Research, as well as Old Man Builds, as well as Benefice TV, and of course TeslaTech, not to forget Finite Theory Phil, and myself, my own Crypto Alchemist, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think that's a full show, guys. We've gone almost 3 hours here.
We'll just finish off, Steve, if you want to. Or
Steve.
You do have brought up. There we go.
Okay.
So let's all aim to meet here and be here. I'm already going to be there, and everyone else. should be as well. And Bob Grenier is going to be there. So, if you want Bob Grenier to see and be exposed to your work, do a live demonstration in front of Bob, you can do it at TeslaTech. Great reason to be there.
Awesome. Hey, Mike, can you post my Patreon link?
Yep. Hold on here.
So, Steve, do you want to just quickly give the details and we'll close it down?
Yes, we have a conference in Crown Plaza Hotel in Albuquerque, August 6th to 10th. Hotel rooms run about $119 a night. Includes a free breakfast, That's for 1 to 2 people. And then you can also contact us at the TeslaTech.info. If you go to the TeslaTech.info, I believe you can order or write to me at steve@TeslaTech.info if you want a copy of the Kipper plans, which we talked about earlier. And there's our phone number there. And I'm pretty much up 24/7. And I'm looking forward to see you all. And if you guys need a table for displaying that, I can make that happen.
That's amazing. And shout out to Lulu and Joe. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to include, but you're both regulars on this channel as well as Joe over on Old Man Bills. And for those that don't know, everyone here is a true league of extraordinary inventors working on free energy and so much more. And Steve, it's an honor to have you here and be a part of it and include in, because you literally have been the pillar of the old and the established, the pioneers of inventing free energy and alternative technologies, and keep putting it on today, and that it's up to us, the new next generation, and that now that we're able to connect online and publish all the results, and that it's creating less fighting and less fake debunking, and instead more actual confirming, learning, and development and open sourcing, that it's also crucial to have spots like TeslaTech where it is a physical meetup and demonstration of all of our genius ideas and developments, and be able to not only share it with the other community, but help verify and develop every single one of us works. And it's awesome. Thank you all.
Thanks everybody. Thanks Steve for joining us on my channel tonight. Greatly appreciated. And you're always welcome on when a conference is coming up, or if you just want to hang out with us on Free Energy Friday, you're more than welcome. And everybody, we go live to air again next Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. And we'll see everybody soon.
Okay, take care.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Much love. And I should say, shout out to Taryn Earthling to end it off, because would have loved to have him on tonight, but not enough time. Let's do next Friday. We'll have Taryn Earthling on for Free Energy Friday, where he will do a full, he has the largest digital PDF document archive, and do a presentation of all of the patents of historical free energy. And on that note, ta-ta.
Nice.
Great.